Hello and welcome to the Sloppy Sundays Connectcast, a series of candid conversations that aim to connect a diverse group of people through the common challenges we all face since making the decision to become parents. The Sloppy Sundays Connectcast is presented by Nutshell Pictures in association with The Secret Lives of Parents, a transmedia storytelling brand which aims to support all parents, past, present and emerging, to do the most responsible job on the planet. I'm Suzanne Ryan, passionate creator of The Secret Lives of Parents and devoted mama to my beautiful only child, 9-year-old Ben. Joining me today is busy working mum Jessica Stavoski, and today's parental support, PS for short, is clinical psychologist Emma DiCiccio. PS, parental support should never be an afterthought. Now, whilst we parents feel guilty about many things, one of my epic fails is either forgetting people's names or, in this case, mispronouncing people's names. So in order to duck this guilt, I'm going to allow our guests to reintroduce themselves. Over to you, Jessica.
I wouldn't feel guilty about my name, Suze. It's a particularly hard one. I'm Jessica Stokowski. I'm a very busy mum, literally living the struggle of work-life balance, or imbalance as we like to call it in our household. I have a 10-year-old daughter, a 4-year-old son, an angel baby, and a 6-month-old blue staffy pup. So my life is extremely busy just with that. And then in 2017, when my son was 15 months old, I was elected to the West Australian Parliament, to the state seat of Kingsley, which is not your typical 9-to-5 job.
I don't imagine you come home at 5 and leave the house at 5 to 9. Absolutely not. Good on you, super mama. That's great. Thank you so much for joining us, Jess. And over to you, Emma.
Thanks for having me on this amazing podcast and for this incredible topic as well. So I'm Dr. Emma DiCiccio. I'm a clinical psychologist and I own my own practice in Careen, WA, Western Australia. And I've been working as a psychologist for a bit over 10 years, I think. I was trying to think before and I can't remember properly. But either way, I've been doing it for a while and I'm really, really blessed. And I'm also blessed to have 3 children and 2 angel babies myself. So I've got a 10-year-old son, a 6-year-old son and a 3-year-old daughter. And life is, of course, very, very busy, but it's very, very fulfilling, and I'm very lucky to be able to do what I do.
Oh, that's wonderful. It's wonderful to give service to other people. I think that us mamas do that so naturally, and it's beautiful that you guys do exactly the same thing. Thanks so much. And thanks for joining us on this very special day. It's Mother's Day here in Australia. So we've decided to dedicate this episode to all mothers, past, present, and emerging. Now, there are 7.5 billion people on the planet, and mums have birthed them all. That's huge. It's really, really quite impressive. Go mamas. But whilst Mother's Day for most women is filled with like sloppy Sunday kisses and breakfast in bed and gifts of gratitude and love, for a lot of women we know it's a very, very difficult day. And we want to acknowledge those people who find Mother's Day quite difficult. They might have difficult relationships with their own mothers. We pay our respects to those people whose mothers have passed away. We also want to send our prayers out to those people who are struggling to conceive, and our hearts go out to those people who have lost their babies and children, which include you guys and your angel babies. And I want to talk to that today, guys, if we can. Yeah, so you guys have got angel babies. How are you feeling today?
Yeah, it's a really tricky one, isn't it? I think in my work and in my personal life, we tend to go around thinking on days like Mother's Day, you should be celebrating, and feeling happy all day and things like that. And I'm not sure that's possible for everyone, and I'm not sure it's a fair expectation, because it's pretty mixed. I mean, I work with so many mums out there who've lost their babies, or they're not able to become mothers yet. And there's people out there who don't have their mums in their lives, whether it's a relationship issue or they've lost their mums, and so Mother's Day is actually really really tough for them. and it's a bit more complicated, and they might be feeling like sad or jealous or angry. And I think my message is, it doesn't make you a bad person to have tough feelings. It's actually really normal. It makes you human, and we can make space for that. We can send our love out to the mums out there and make space for the difficult stuff that comes up. And I know that when, my 3 children this morning, we all went for a run, and watching them run along, and I'm just filled with this love and just so happy, but at the same time knowing that there should be 2 more running along there. And it brings that sadness, and kind of holding both of those at the same time. So it's difficult, and so we need to be able to talk about it.
I absolutely agree. It's mixed feelings. I've got 2 beautiful children, and I'm so thankful and so grateful for them, because it took me 8 years and 22 rounds of IVF to get them. But you also mix, my son is 4.5, but just prior to him, I was pregnant with my other daughter, and I actually lost her and then became pregnant with him before her due date. So I quite literally couldn't have him if I had her. So that's very hard to deal with. But I think this Mother's Day, probably more than any other Mother's Day that we've had recently, is going to be difficult for a lot of people, because in this current climate of social isolation and lockdown, there's lots of mums and children that aren't going to be able to see each other because of that. I know for me, I'm not going to be able to see my mum today, because she lives in a different region to me here in Western Australia, and we have regional boundaries up at the moment. So I just had to call her, and I'll FaceTime her later with the kids. So
yeah,
it's
and
hard.
it is hard. And me too. My mum, adore my mum. Happy Mother's Day to my mum in England, all the way in England. My whole family, my whole clan, my Irish clan is over there in England, and we've got family in Ireland as well. And yeah, for my mum, she's been poorly through this COVID period, and whilst not having been tested because of the worrisome thing of being tested, there's a debate about whether you get tested or not, and such, and rules, of course. But for mum, she didn't get tested. But I've got 3 sisters back home. I miss them dreadfully, and they are looking after mum. But for me, being so isolated here and not being able to give her a hug, I'm going to be off again, sorry. But not being able to give her a hug on Mother's Day and not get a hug back from her.
Yeah.
So
I feel you. I'm a hugger.
Yeah.
This time of isolation has been really trying for those of us that are physically connecting people. I've actually had a really hard time, and I know even my son, we went to visit my mother-in-law a couple of weeks ago, and they were at one end of the driveway and we were at the other end of the driveway, and when he got back in the car, he was really downcast, and was really, had tears in his eyes, and I said, what's wrong? And he said, I just miss having hugs with my baba. And we were just like, oh, sweetheart, only a few more weeks, hopefully. So
it's so sad. What advice do we give at the moment? Because for me, you kind of go, I'm going to cry. Don't cry. Yeah. And I know that Emma, you've got your thoughts on this, haven't you? Empower me.
The opposite. Cry. Release the cry. I'm all about release the cry. Crying is a normal human expression of emotion. It's there for a reason. It's actually so healthy for us to be able to allow ourselves to have that emotion. Hormones are released through your tears, like on a physiological, biological, emotional, and social level. When you cry, you draw people in. They connect with you. Crying is like the best thing. When I get a client in my room and they start crying, I'm like, yes. So healthy for them, and it allows us to really connect with the hard stuff, and to learn that it's actually okay. You can hold it, and I can hold space for you while you're going through whatever it is, whatever that pain is. So I think all about the tears, and I well up all the time and have a little cry, and it's really, really important for us to do, especially at the moment with it. It's so tough. It's so
and we've got social expectations and social I think that listen, maybe especially boys, but certainly it comes to us as well when we're raising our kids, and we've heard that from previous generations of, big boys don't cry, and even the crying shame terminology. I was having a little think about that, and I thought, is there there's a shame attached to crying, isn't there? And you as mums and women, we I love nothing more than having a good ball, but behind closed doors. And that is only few and far between, my moments in time. What do you guys think about that? I mean, should we be encouraging our children to let that out and cry more? And do we have our dads, we love them, but do we have our dads that bring forth a different viewpoint from previous generations? What's your experience of that, Jess?
I think definitely our dads are very different from previous generations. I know my husband is certainly a lot more hands-on, I think, than the previous generations, and a lot more connected, and not just with his son, but also with his daughter. I think there has been a real change in mindset over the last probably 2 decades, that, dads can have a good relationship with their daughters because they're their children as well. I feel like there's been a bit of a, dads connect with the boys and mums do the girls. But I feel when I look at my husband's beautiful relationship with our daughter, I think it's wonderful. And with the crying as well with the boys, it is, we do kind of get told, oh, big boys don't cry, or come on, stop crying. And I've taken to, like, if my kids hurt themselves, I'm like, you can cry. If it hurts, you cry. But when it stops, you stop. So,
oh, that's good. That's an interesting advice. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it really is about that, just allowing the emotion, and the word motion is literally in emotion. If you don't try and shove it down and lock it away and do all these things to avoid it, emotion actually just comes up and then down all on its own. And that's the same with crying. If you just let it out, it will go up and then come down all on its own, and it will settle all on its own. And crying is actually a really natural way for us to regulate our emotions. So it helps them to regulate, to have a good cry. And I always hear, oh, were you brave? Which actually means, so you didn't cry. And I'm like, no. It's brave to cry, because you're at your most vulnerable when you're crying. Mm-hmm. You are so raw and exposed, and it takes huge courage to be able to cry, and it's hard to hold that space for somebody who's crying. You want them to feel better, you don't want them to feel that way. So it takes two people being able to be vulnerable and allowing tough stuff to come up. So it's far braver to cry than not to cry.
And I think strong women, again, another role for mothers and women, we are so nurturing that I think that maybe if we come forth with that emotion ourselves and know how empowering it is to cry, and the release we get from it that maybe our male counterparts don't get. Maybe it's us that teach that, like we, as mothers, we teach a lot of things, don't we, to our kids. And I think now I feel more than ever, especially in this socialization, that we can gather our people up and say, yeah, come in for a hug and cry. And as you say, you want to cry, because emotional intelligence, of course, it's about how we balance those emotions. And if you're angry, you've got to be able to balance that at some point, but you've still got to release it somewhere, but in the right space at the right time, and appropriately, right? I guess appropriately. And the same with crying. I mean, we do kind of have to hold it in, maybe in the middle of a business meeting, maybe, but then release somewhere, or go and release somewhere, right? And I think that encouraging that is going to be a good thing. And mums, we have our roles have changed so much, haven't they, in recent years, and we do talk about the new roles of mothers, but I think the role of mothers has always been to nurture, and to nurture that emotional intelligence in our kids is one of the biggest gifts I think we can give our kids. Communication, how to communicate our feelings, not just verbally but emotionally as well.
I think we've all been dealing with a lot of emotions lately. It's certainly been a big learning curve with going through this pandemic. There was no controlling your own emotion at the beginning, because the unknown was just everywhere. And I think even parents had a really hard time of dealing with their own anxiety. And I know this is certainly my experience, dealing with my own anxiety, my own stress as a Member of Parliament, my office was a magnet for everyone else's stress and concern and questions, and then my staff and I took that on and we brought it home, and so we were all stressed and concerned and anxious as well, trying to get answers and trying to get people home from overseas and over east and everywhere. And then we come home and expect our children to be just happy little Vegemites. And at some point in the last few weeks, I just went, you know what, it's okay that we're not all okay right now, because this is a really scary time. So
absolutely. And mums, you know, as I say, we're nurturing beings, and the more I feel that we can bring everybody, whoever is feeling those suppressed emotions, and gather them up and kind of, you know, have this kind of virtual hug right now, you know, when we all, and if we connect socially now, for example, through the Secret Lives of Parents and the tribe, the T-Slop tribe, I call it, the tribe we're trying to connect, I feel that then we've got a virtual connection to people, which is still really important across the globe. I have to virtually connect with my family. I can't be with them. And then for the people that are close to us, and you find this new community of people and go, oh my goodness, Jessica's here next to me, and oh my goodness, this person's only around the corner. When we're out of socialization, if that's a word, when we're out of social isolation, I can't wait for the parties and the hugs that I'm going to have for this new tribe that we're going to bring together. And speaking of new tribes, Jessica, I know that you're also a very nurturing person, and you've been out there. You're very community minded. Listen, as a poly, I shouldn't say as a poly as if you're not nurturing, sorry, but as a poly, as a politician, and maybe it's because you're a mum and you're a very nurturing being, but you've been getting up to stuff, haven't you? I've been checking out your page, and it seems like that you have been on a mission to not only encourage a community of people to pay tribute to their own mothers, but at the same time share the importance of supporting parents and other people who run their own local businesses. How beautiful. Tell us what you've been up to, Jess.
So before, a long time ago, I used to run my own business. I had my own small business that I ran, and even just running it in normal times can be extremely difficult. I know, Emma, you've got your own business, so you'll understand the hardship and the
I'm feeling it.
And what was your small business? Sorry, Jess, what was your small business? I'm intrigued.
I owned a Party Plus store. I owned the Party Plus in Osborne Park.
So you're a natural at bringing people together then.
Yes.
Parties, yeah, absolutely.
The life of the party.
Yeah. So I ran that, and like I said, in the hard time, in the good times, it was hard enough. And then, you know, you try to struggle through what we're going through. It's unbelievable, you know. So I decided I would go to each of the small businesses in my electorate that sold Mother's Day type things, and I would buy something from each of them to give them a little boost as well, but also then put it into a hamper and do a giveaway for people in my electorate. Tag all these businesses in so that they all get a bit of promotion, and just get people to stop and think for 5 minutes what they'd like to say about their mum, their favourite thing about their mum. And actually reading through them yesterday and on Friday really brought a tear to my eye. It really touched me that, you know, it doesn't matter how old we get, we always need our mums. And that really came through in the messages that were put on the Facebook page. So if you do need a cry, go and have a read of that post, because it's certainly a tearjerker.
Yeah.
What was your favourite one?
There was one, I can't remember who it was now, but one lady said she loved her mum's sense of humour, that it was dirty and inappropriate, but very funny.
Woo woo. Was she Irish by any chance?
Probably. And then there was another one which I just could relate to 100%, that her mum drives 450 kilometres. Keeping in mind Western Australia is a massive state. Mm-hmm. She drives 450 kilometres to come and visit her grandkids. And while my mum travels 200 kilometres, it's still very much the same feeling.
Oh, that's gorgeous. That's so beautiful. And so obviously, as you say, you know, supporting local businesses is so important, because for mums and dads, whoever is the primary caregiver, or whoever goes out to work, whichever way you look at it, whatever your unit looks like, whether you're a single mum, whether you are surrounded by a whole tribe already, whether you co-parent, whoever you co-parent with, your income affects the whole unit. And we are feeding our babes, whichever way you look at it, that whether you're singly doing that or you've got a tribe that's supporting you doing that. And I feel that absolutely supporting local businesses, if you've got a gift to buy for somebody, rather than maybe nipping down to the local hypermarket, which may be okay. I mean, listen, they might survive. I'm sure they'll survive far quicker than a mum trying to, make candles or grow flowers so that you can buy them the flowers that she's trying to sell you. And I adore that, Jess. I just think it's such a beautiful, beautiful message that we can help a whole tribe of people, of parents, to survive this by purchasing their goods. What was one of, I mean, I know you've probably received so many beautiful things, but what are the kind of things that parents are selling? I'm going to call them per-entrepreneurs, because parent entrepreneurs are amazing, aren't they? We do so many things and then we become entrepreneurs as well. Yeah. So who are your per-entrepreneurs and what are they selling?
So, it was from florist shops to little gift shops to cafes, to everyone in this time has become very resilient and very inventive and very entrepreneurial in what they do. I know my poor husband went to the Boulevard Cafe yesterday, which is one of our favourite little coffee shops in Woodvale, to order their breakfast box. And he was told, no, it's too late. You can't order now because we're full. It's something that I know Julie, the owner's never done before, but during this time, she has had to reinvent her offerings. And so she's got these, not breakfast box, a morning tea box, a tea for two takeaway.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, and quite a few of the local cafes have done that. So they had those. And then you look at the florists, they can't get fresh blooms at the moment because there's no international flowers coming in. So
yes.
Creating these forever blooms, which are dried flower arrangements, which are just stunning. And, you'll be able to keep them for years rather than the week and a half that the fresh flowers last.
And are they native then? Are they using native?
Yes, some are native.
That's amazing, because I'm from England, right, as you guys know. The natives here in Australia are just so stunning and different to our flowers in England. And I just love seeing them. And I don't see them often enough in florists. And it's wonderful then that these guys are doing that.
Yeah. So when I get my wreaths done for Anzac Day, I always ask for an Australian native wreath. They always look better.
Beautiful. How gorgeous is that?
Gorgeous.
And Emma, in your experience, people that are kind of coming to you at the moment, is anybody, obviously there's a downturn in everything, a downturn in people's mental well-being, a downturn in people's financial well-being. What are you feeling the vibe is at the moment?
Look, we came together as a group. My team came together at the beginning of this, and we kind of nutted out what this might look like psychologically. And at the beginning, we predicted we'd see a wave of stress and anxiety as everything shut down and people were really very scared about COVID. Absolutely, totally understandable. This is one of those things that it's not about, anxiety. It's fear. There is a real threat there. Anxiety occurs, it's the fear response when there's no threat, but there's actually a threat. And so people were coming in this fear state. And we knew that once that fear or anxiety state lasts long enough, you then see a decline toward depression, because you can't operate in that state for a long period of time. And so last week we actually saw our first real wave of acute depression coming through in lots and lots of clients. So it's really been about us holding that space for those people, for what they're going through right now. And a lot of them have lost their jobs. A lot of them, feel very destabilized. And so just seeing the decline in their mental health, but knowing that they've got the right support and they've got the right treatment available to them, which is what we've been rallying to be able to really make sure is available 24/7 for them. So hopefully And hopefully, as you know, our numbers stay low and things improve, we'll really be able to see an improvement in people's mental health over the next few weeks and months.
Fantastic. Well, I think that you guys are amazing. What you guys do at the Dash Health Hub, Emma, is beautiful. And as we say, you know, parental support is a must. Our brains are a very complex thing, and I used to think that, you know, I would be weak if I went to see somebody. I'm going to start again. And I used to think I was weak and not, you know, I would be failing as a human being, wife, a mother, if I sought help. How wrong I was.
Yeah.
You know, now that I do seek help, I've got an outlet, a beautiful outlet, and support networks like you guys, psychologists, well-being people who want to do nothing but contribute to people's health and well-being are gifts. And so it's amazing. Yeah, we've got to get through this together, and that includes support. And of course, the likes of yourself, Jess, who rally round community. You're such a grassroots, community-minded person, and you rally round and you connect people so beautifully with all your skill sets. And I absolutely commend the pair of you. And thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you, guys, and thanks for giving up part of your Mother's Day for this. I want to actually point and give a nod to you guys and say that obviously parental support, PS, parental support should never be an afterthought. So if you want to connect with Emma Diciccio at the Dash Health Hub and Jessica Stowowski, and have a little nosy at what she's doing, and maybe form part of that community and get some inspiration about how you can help community wherever you are on the globe, then please do visit our website at www.thesecretlivesofparents.com. And of course, if you want to connect with like-minded people like ourselves, and you want to share your parental journey and to help others support others through their parental journey, and to be of service to other people, which we love doing as people, as women and mothers, then do join our TSOP tribe at the Secret Lives of Parents Facebook page. So happy Mother's Day to you guys.
Happy Mother's Day.
And lots of love to everybody that's going through Mother's Day in whatever space they're in. We love and respect you here at the Secret Lives of Parents. So we shall see you all next time on the Sloppy Sundays Connectcast. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much.